Hello, everyone. I'm Cheryl Musial, and welcome to My Care Advisors. Did you know that for older adults, few decisions carry as much weight as selecting the ideal assisted living community? With a staggering number of nearly 31,000 assisted living communities across the U.S., the task of finding the perfect match can feel daunting, overwhelming, and emotionally draining. In this episode, Informed Decisions, the benefits of professional senior living advice, we are joined by Tracy Toomer. Tracy is the owner of CarePatrol Collin County-Central. She's a certified senior advisor, certified placement and referral specialist, certified Alzheimer's disease and dementia care trainer, and certified dementia practitioner. She will share her insight on how senior living advisors can help navigate this pivotal decision with confidence. Well, welcome, Tracy. It's such a pleasure to speak with you today.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm excited and very much so happy to be here with you and your listeners. So thanks again for this great opportunity.
Oh, Tracy, it's our pleasure. And so let's just start off our conversation by sharing with our listeners, what is the role of a senior living advisor? And most importantly, what are some of those typical services that are provided?
I think the role of a certified senior advisor is really to assist families through a very difficult and very stressful time in their lives. So their role is to act as an expert guide and really, provide them with their local performance and violation reports to offer them an objective opinion and information about these communities and residential care homes from their social, medical, and financial requirements that we discover or uncover during the discovery process, to provide them with smart community recommendations, not just our friends in the business that are in communities, but really listen to them, really hear them and see what they need for their short-term needs and then their long-term as they age in place. And sometimes that takes them in a very different direction than maybe what they would have heard from, say, a friend that had their parent at a community oftentimes. I think the other piece of our role is to really stand in their corner with negotiations and lease signings. Don't just find that location, but really work with them through that process. We know the jargon. We know what's in those lease agreements and what's excluded from those lease agreements. And it's up to us to make sure that those concessions are in there so that if there's a new, community owner or if there's new leadership team, that those promises are kept. And lastly, to really be their rock during an emotional time. As a certified senior advisor, we have an ethical responsibility to our families to provide them with the best recommendation and the choices we believe would be good for their loved one. And so during that time, they need someone that's extremely objective, someone that does their due diligence and really stays focused on the family needs.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. I just love how you said the rock. I mean, that is just gives a great visual picture of that as a trusted senior advisor. So thank you so much for sharing this valuable information on the services that you provide that support so many older adults and especially their family caregivers. So I'm just curious, Tracy, how did you choose this as your career? If you wouldn't mind sharing with our listeners a little bit about your background.
Well, I think this was the first time that I actually didn't choose my career. I have been in corporate America and for a very long time, not trying to date myself, but at least over 20 plus years, and had advanced as a vice president of operations with a very famous fitness company. And when I found myself laid off with COVID and the gym's closing, it forced me to try to look at some things. And I too have my parents that are living with me. And so it made me really consider when I was looking at different opportunities. And my parents just kept coming up, as well as this wonderful company that they have put in front of me called CarePatrol that assisted families through very difficult and very stressful times to help them find independent assisted living or memory care options. And with my background, having dealing with conflict resolution, being able to be an advocate for my teams, it was easy to transfer that experience, art of negotiation, but also empathy and compassion into the role today. And so I feel like it's a ministry, it's a calling. I actually learn a lot from my parents every day. They're teaching me life lessons that help me be a better support, not only to the older adults I serve, but most importantly, as a daughter, being 54 years old, it helps me help the children that are on the same journey as myself.
Oh, thank you, Tracy, for providing some of that insight into the reasons why you selected this as a career, but most importantly, what gets you up every morning and keeps you going to support so many older adults and their caregivers, that you're walking in that same walk with them every step along the way.
Absolutely, Cheryl. It's like I said, it's something that I didn't necessarily pick for myself, but it's definitely been an opportunity that's providing me with significant purpose in life. And every day is just very different, and you're giving back every day. And so it really, really feels good to be able to help others in a time of need.
That's wonderful. I was wondering, Tracy, if you could share with our listeners just a few of those benefits of using a senior living advisor. I know you mentioned a few, but if you could expand upon that and maybe even tell a little bit of a recent client story that really comes to mind about the support that you're able to provide to them.
Some of the services that I didn't mention that I think is critical is we're kind of that connector in the middle. So very, very different than, say, a realtor that would help families or older adults find that and their dream home, right? We're helping families find a home or a community that's going to assist them with their everyday activities of daily living, personal things like toileting, bathing. We're going to be helping them as well with medication management. And these are very serious things that we're asking families to trust us with our recommendations when we're saying to put their loved one there. And so with that being said, I had a wonderful older adult that was a widow, and she was from Germany. And so all of her family was back in Germany, and she never had children. Her and her husband, had a wonderful life here in America, and his job sponsored, them here, their citizenship here. And so she had another friend, but she was an older adult in her late 70s, and she found herself in a skilled nursing facility for over a year and paying a significant amount of money, over $9,000 a month, and was in need of finding assisted living. And so from a recommendation in a partnership that I had with the skilled nursing facility, part of our services is taking our clients on tours. And so in her instance, she didn't have a car. She was an amputee, and having the opportunity to partner with the local certified senior advisor, I was able to, pick her up to and from, help with the transport of an amputee. It was my first time, but it was a learning experience for the both of us, and it pulled us extremely closer together, helping her as well with just the relocation from skilled nursing facility into her new community. And what I mean by that is moving services. So we help with the moving services. It can be as detailed as packing for them and unpacking. It can be as detailed as going to a person's home, or in this instance, a skilled nursing facility, and seeing exactly what things they need to see if it makes sense in that space that they're choosing. And then moving those things there, unpacking it for them. So when they go, it's like they had lived there all along. So we offer some really extensive services. In that instance, I also helped her with getting some of her paperwork and things like that with her trust, with the Abdullah partner that I had, and helping her establish some things with her friend, and then a second person in case something happened to her friend since she was older in age. And so in that instance, again, being able to be a connector, we were able to help someone who felt they were extremely alone, didn't have children. Her husband had already passed. She wasn't at her best self because she couldn't drive. She had sold her home. She was an amputee. and she was feeling extremely alone out there. And so with that loneliness comes depression. It comes a lot of things for an older adult. And when they work with a certified senior advisor, it's just a lead generator. They actually get a partner that helps support them again through everything, through supporting them with all of the resources, as well as helping her again with the lease signing and being there on move-in day. And of course, even after, as things needed to still be scheduled for her to help her with physical therapy and occupational therapy so she could get acclimated to her new prosthetic leg. And so those are services that we as certified senior advisors, we do our due diligence. We do make sure that community would have a third party physical therapist that would indeed have the experience to work with the amputee that could further along assist her on her journey in her new home. And that's a type of service that a lead generator would never be able to touch. And most certified senior living advisors in some instances won't do their due diligence. And that's the one thing that I appreciate with not only CarePatrol is that we meet their need and then some to make sure that they can truly age in play.
Wow, wonderful. That is such great services that you mentioned. I really enjoyed you discussing about the connector and supporting that individual to make the transition to that next level of care into that community. So thank you for sharing that client story. I hope she's doing well,
She is doing well. And I even found another client that was from Germany who baked her an official German chocolate cake. And so was able to surprise her and bring her with some actual home baking of a recipe. And so that was exciting and really fun. But again, when I say it's my ministry, those things just kind of fall in my lap. And that's how I know it's truly what it is that I'm supposed to do. Because most of these people I never would have known before, right? If it wasn't for this. So it was very delicious. She's doing very well. She even got herself an accent wall on one of them. We were able to get her in her living room that kind of matched her home environment that she had before she sold her home. So there's a lot of things that we're able to do to really help them be comfortable and really start the next chapter in their lives, if given the chance to provide them the service.
Oh, that's fantastic. An authentic German chocolate cake. I can only imagine how delicious that was. Well, Tracy, I was wondering, you mentioned there's so many differences. So can you offer a few tips to our listeners that, for them to consider when they're selecting the right senior living advisor to support their search efforts?
Absolutely. I think there's some things that are critically important. One is when you're finding a senior living advisor, you want to make sure that they're local and they know the territory and they know the communities and the residential care homes that you're looking at. Not only are they would it benefit you because they're local, but they'll have other clients that you can reference or that you can find out how are they enjoying the actual environment that senior living advisor placed them in. I think the other piece that's critical is that we have this designation behind our names called CSA for Certified Senior Advisor. That means that we have a criminal background check, that we also have additional education and knowledge to further be able to help in social, medical, and financial needs that are impacting the aging population. So again, I call us connectors. We're able to have those great partners that can help, whether it be doctors, whether it be elder attorneys, whether it be movers that specialize in working with older adults, whether it be therapists that specialize in working with older adults. Again, we're able to pull these resources together for those to be more beneficial, to help them. And I think those are critical things that they definitely look for. I think the last thing is you will want them to be a part of the National Placement Referral Alliance. NPRA is kind of our bar association. And so Not only is it recognized in the current state I'm in, Texas, it's also recognized all across the U.S. And so this organization allows families have access to trustworthy guidance, and when we're searching for their loved ones. It also allows families and older adults to have the right to choose. You have the right to choose your senior living advisor. And while we absolutely hope that you would work with and partner with CarePatrol, it's very much so within your right to look for another certified senior advisor that has boots on the ground and that will do their due diligence to absolutely assist, search, and help you, not for what's beneficial for them, but what's most beneficial for their client and their families. And so those would be the things that I think are huge when it comes to looking for a senior living advisor.
So Tracy, as we're coming to the end of this episode, I was wondering if you could share any additional thoughts that you have for our listeners as they select the right senior living advisor.
Absolutely. It's really important that I emphasize the danger in the market. Right now, the population for seniors is growing each and every day. And there is an enormous amount of financial gain that is in working with older adults. And families and older adults have to be very cognitive of this. And so that's why it's absolutely important that you work with a professional and work with a certified senior advisor that has an obligation and to you and their families, but also has to follow the ethics and code of responsibility to that client and their families. And so I think the big pieces are you have a right to choose. You want to definitely make sure that your the professional that you're working with is a certified senior advisor. They pull the performance and violation reports for you. There are state auditors that are out there that audit those communities. There are adult protective services that are out there. So you want to understand, what are they saying about your community? Not just the great posts that are online, but what are the things that are really going on in that community? And how should you best partner if that's the one that you select? And that's why working with the professional is so important. It's important that after they make those decisions and you choose that community, that they'll still support you. And so you want a certified senior advisor that's not afraid to just sit at the table with you when you have challenges with that community, the same way they did when it was time for you to make a decision on choosing them. That they're willing to 3 months later or 2 months later to sit down with that same community and say, I remember when we discussed these things, and this is what we committed to this client and their families. And so again, you want to find a certified senior advisor that will stand behind the recommendations that they made, that they'll also do their due diligence in the tours and going with you to the communities because they know them. And they know this director of nursing. They know the executive director. They know if there's a new private equity company that owns this business. And so these are some of the things that are the ugly part of the business that no one wants to talk about. And that's why I want to make sure that families know something as intimate and as personal as making a decision for your loved one or for your spouse, as making a decision to find assisted living or memory care community. Don't try to do it alone. Know that there are resources out there and that there are local certified senior advisors that are here to help, in many instances at no cost. And so work with the professional to help you on that search.
Well, thank you, Tracy, for sharing your insight with our listeners today.
So thank you again, Cheryl, for giving me an opportunity to not only connect with you, but having the opportunity to share with your listeners. We are well aware that many people have never heard of certified senior advisors or senior living advisors. And so you allowing me to have this opportunity gets it out there that there are professionals there at no cost to really help families make a big decision in their loved one's life. And again, this is something that's extremely serious that most times is going to be overwhelming. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be emotionally taxing. And that's why working with a certified senior advisor is critical.
Well, thank you again, Tracy, for joining our listeners today and sharing this important information. To view resources, show notes, and access more My Care Advisors episodes, visit mycareadvisors.com. You can also subscribe and listen to our podcast on your favorite app. I leave you with this thought. A trusted advisor is a person who's relied upon for providing expertise, honesty, and guidance to help others succeed. Choose to be inspired to live the best life every day. Thank you for listening. We are grateful to be your guide.